Welcome to TwoSplit. Today's review or rant is a little bit about something revolutionary, sort of. It's called Google Stadia. And then we're going to talk about how the internet where you live, or for me in this case where I live, affects that. So let's talk about Google Stadia first. Google Stadia is the revolutionary platform that Google is providing that lets you play state-of-the-art games without a console. No PlayStation, no Xbox, no PC. You just need some sort of interface. It could be a TV, it could be a cell phone, a decent controller. Some controllers you can buy without it being the ones you know, like Sony and co. And it'll work. And what's happening here, how it works, is that Sony will do the heavy lifting of your console on their servers and play high-def games like Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Doom, Tomb Raider, really fantastic games with no console. Sounds amazing because if it does work the way Google wants it to work, it becomes sort of like a Netflix for games. You just have to rent what you want, play anywhere, stream screen to screen, just go from your TV to your console, your TV to your cell phone, forgive me, to your laptop, to a tablet. It sounds fantastic. Now Google gives different formats for this. There's a high-end subscription right now called the Founders Edition. It's about $130. If you get it, it comes with a controller and a Chromecast HD. Lets you plug into a TV and you're good to go. It'll give you 3-month subscription. It'll let you pick your name, and you can even gift another 3 months to a buddy. I think it's a buddy pass to let them play with you for free. Sounds great. So if you want to get that, you should order now because I think it's either sold out completely or it's virtually almost gone. However, before you do that, you need to consider where you live. Google Stadia isn't launching everywhere. In some parts in America and Europe, we'll leave a list in the description below, but it's not in Africa, okay? And there's a good reason for that. Because they're doing the heavy lifting for the processing, and I mean heavy lifting because these games will, if you have a high-end subscription, will run at 4K, 5.1 sound, and will support HDR. A low-end subscription will probably run at standard HD with stereo sound. You need decent internet, and I mean decent internet about 35 meg download capability. Notice I tried to avoid saying download speed because we tend to mix this up a lot, especially when your ISPs promise you, speeds of 60 megabytes per second. That's not really speed. That's really just what you can download. I know it's a bit confusing, but we'll break it down in a second. So Google Stadia is great, but if you're Nigeria or in most other parts of the world that are not going to get it early or plan to get it at some point, do you think you have decent internet to run it? You probably don't. I know I don't, and most people who live around here don't. So like I said before, the ISPs promise us, say, you have 20 megabytes per second, 30 megabytes per second. But that's really your bandwidth it speaks to. What you should be worried about when you're gaming is something called latency, or latency, or latency. Latency sounds good. Let's go with latency. We could be wrong, correct this later. So that 20 meg per second thing, so imagine you're talking about bandwidth, really. It's how much of it can you fit into a pipe. But latency speaks to speed in terms of if I had to send a message from me back to the server and the server sends back to me, the time it takes for that message to go from me to the server back, that's your total latency time. And it's the less that number is, the faster your internet connection is, exactly. So some of you are probably thinking, but I already have Netflix right now and I'm streaming and it's great. But is it though? Because you're doing one way really with Netflix. It's just buffering and sitting there and then you're just playing along. There's not much back and forth. But in a game, in a video game, I have to continually put in inputs and go back, which has to display on the screen as a reaction or an action, and then back and forth. So you can imagine in a first-person shooter game, every time I pull up the gun to shoot, I have to tap the button and he has to hit my opponent and the system has to register that has happened and send feedback to my screen back and forth. Not many internet services can support that. If you're a gamer in Nigeria, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Most of the time you're dead, you run into a room and you're probably dead before you know you're dead. So why doesn't ISPs just advertise latency? The truth is they can't, because they can't promise you. There's just too many factors that determine how fast your internet really is. So I might be able to give you 20 meg because I know that's what my bandwidth is, but I can't tell you how fast the latency is because I don't know, I don't know what modem you're using in your house. I don't know what device you're connected to. I don't know what speed, whatever it is you're running requires at the time. So there's a bunch of factors they cannot calculate. So it's safer to just advertise speed as megabytes of download, right? And keeping this in mind, I'm not sure Google Stadia is gonna totally revolutionize the industry like they claim just yet. I mean, think about it, even in America, there's still cities that have dial-up. dial-up. Not everywhere has great internet in the USA. So more or less other parts of the world. Okay, some parts have way better internet than USA, but you get my point. If they're trying to promote this, the basic thing it needs to run is the internet, and not just basic internet, but internet with decent latency. And that means more servers, more equipment that Google has to put out there, maybe more partners. I think maybe in the mid to long term, this is a thing. It definitely could work, but in the short to mid term, no. I think a lot of people are gonna own their consoles for several reasons. They wanna be able to either own their libraries or have the choice of turning it on and off and on, or doing whatever it is, or moving that around and controlling what they can or can't do, whether online or offline. Yes, there's a big online gaming community growing, but in parts of the world where we don't have dedicated servers and the experience isn't great, it's going to be a struggle for us to buy into the Stadia idea. I don't know, let us know what you think. If you're fortunate to be one of those places where Stadia is launching early, we are going to try it down here anyway. We ordered, you know, we're gamers, we're freaks. So we ordered the foundation, the Stadia foundation package. So we'll see how bad it is eventually, or how good it is when we get it, and we'll let you know. We'll do a video about that. Let us know what you think. If you want to buy it, go to the Google site right now. We'll leave a link in the description below. Let us know if Stadia is the next big thing. Is it going to be like Netflix versus Blockbuster, or not? And that's the rant, really. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe. There are a couple of giveaways coming up, so keep an eye on that. Tap the notification button so you don't miss that video. We're just going to give away a bunch of free stuff towards the end of the year. See you in the next video. Take care.